Hey everyone, welcome. Welcome to our weekly ANTS Team Live training. Today we are going to be talking about I kind of had two topics that I wanted to discuss. So I'm actually going to be breaking the session in, to talk about both and how they relate to each other. But to get started, I'm going to give you guys all a minute to get in, to log in and get started in the chat with sharing your wins for the week. For me, let me think. How's my week been going? My week has just been going like really fast. I always sometimes I feel like, oh my gosh, it's Tuesday again. Wow. But for me, this week, it's like the after the first full week of April, the weather still doesn't feel like anything like spring. So for me, it's been a little bit crazy. I've been having like car problems, and because of the weather, I still haven't been getting to do the events that I wanted to do during the week, recruiting events and stuff. But I am really excited because of the advent of technology and most of us being on Facebook and social media and Zoom and GoToMeeting and all of that, we as a team I've still been able to meet with different people on my team through all of this technology. So I've really been enjoying that. The people that I have been meeting with, it's been a pleasure and really great to get to talk to them about their goals and to brainstorm ideas together about what they're planning to do to get closer to their goals. Because as you always say in this training, you could want it until you're blue in the face. You could plan for it until kingdom come, but until you take those action steps, you'll never really reach your goal. So it's always great for me to see the representatives and leaders on my team who are actually taking the steps, and as a result, starting to see improved results. And there's always that moment of, oh yeah, I can do this. This can be done. This does work. You told me, and I kind of didn't believe you. And I get that as a representative myself, and I always share. I was there too. I started off where you did. All representatives started off in the same place. We all have been there and done that. So it's always kind of nice and um, interesting to see those sort of aha moments. So those tend to be my favorite. So I hope you guys have some wins for the week that you're going to share as well. Sorry, I just need to add some gloss because another problem with this weather is that it's just been so dry. And I think I mentioned this the other day, but thank God for um, moisture therapy, the lotion and the chapstick, and oh, I actually didn't realize this color, which is an extra lasting lip gloss, and it has no color on it. I lost the label. It goes very well with my blouse. What do you guys think? Yay? Nay? I kind of like it. Sometimes I don't wear the color glosses. I just will do like lipstick and then a clear gloss on top of it. But this extra lasting was one of my favorites, the extra lasting lip gloss, because I am not that person who wants to apply and reapply a million times a day. So it's always nice to be able to find a gloss that you can put on and not have to reapply it. But back in those days, I was not a lipstick person, so it was nice to have a colored or tinted gloss. But I've upped my lipstick game. So I've gotten a little mini collection of lipsticks going on. So I've been leaning more towards the lipsticks. But anyway, so I see some of you guys are watching, but I don't see any comments. Be sure to give me a quick hi, hello, how you doing, so I could shout you out and welcome you to the chat. This is not me doing a you know, soliloquy. It's a conversation, a dialogue. So come on in. Welcome to my humble abode. Let's chat a little. The numbers going up. Like, yeah, we're all gonna watch, but we're just gonna stay so quiet. You guys are shy tonight? Where did that come from? How did that happen? All right, so you guys want to be shy. All right, so let me get my notes out for tonight so I could share with you some of the things that I've sort of been thinking. So this comes out of me um, usually these talks come out of my own personal development. So, and I tell you guys these things all the time. A lot of it is stuff that I'm struggling with within myself, growth experiences, growth opportunities, things that I've learned or experienced that I might be like rehashing or revisiting, or that, just came up and smacked me in the face. And I thought that I wanted to share it with you. So today's topic of discussion was actually, I had a pre-planned topic of discussion for tonight, which was going to be a topic of concerning trade-offs in life, and how much you want to achieve your goals. And that was what I wanted to talk about. But then I came across this quote that I wanted to share with you guys by Virginia Vokes. I didn't even have time to really Google who she was or what she did, but I'm pretty sure someone will shout it out to me, or I'll add a link in the chat box or description box after, so that we can see. But she had a really great quote, and it kind of made me rethink what I wanted to talk about tonight. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to talk about both. We've got the time, right? So they were both kind of things that sat with me, because when we're talking about goals, I think oftentimes, and I've sort of been seeing this in dialogue and conversation with others, is there's a disconnect between where we want to be and what we're willing to do to get there. And I see this in my own life all the time, and I call myself out on it, and others have called me out on it. And a lot of times, um, I might chalk it up to just being an obstacle to overcome. But this past week, I've been actually thinking that maybe, just maybe, and that's why I wanted to talk it out with you guys, was maybe it's not so much or it's not 100% obstacle, but it could be a percentage of, what are we willing to do for whatever our goal is. And we always talk about, like, the best stories that we love are like the stories of the hero who, the Captain America, he's willing to put his life on the line to save the world. And superheroes are willing to put themselves in harm's way to protect others. And we hear the stories about the super moms who are lifting cars and jumping in front of moving vehicles to protect their children and save other people. And those are the best stories. And I think a part of that comes from, the idea that someone is willing to give up, like, the ultimate thing, their life, in order to save the life of someone else. And that is like completely dramatic. Hey, Anitra, thanks for joining us. That is like super dramatic, but at the same time, I wanted to use that as an example to kind of put you in the frame of mind of where I am, because every day I feel we have decisions to make. And I was actually told this growing up, getting ready for college. The architecture program is actually a 5-year program, not 4 years. So when I had the conversation, just so that I'm telling you, I'm like preparing you, because I'm gonna say this and you're gonna say college is 4 years. What are you talking about? But the Bachelor of Architecture degree program is a 5-year program. So I was talking to someone, and we were talking about my pursuit of the degree, and should I or shouldn't I? What should I do? And so on and so forth. And the thing that the person I was speaking with said, that sat with me to this day, like beyond 10 years later, was, they said, look, at the end of the day, the 5 years is going to pass, whether you like it or not. So it's not so much a question of, do you want to do this? It's more a question of, where do you want to be at the end of 5 years? Because that 5 years will end. You're going to come out on the other side of that, and you can either come out on the other side of it with a degree, or you come out on the other side of it without a degree. You come out on the other side of it as an architectural designer, or you come out on the other side of it as, whatever else it is that I was considering. He's like, at the end of the day, don't look at where you are now and look at your friends and, think, well, right now they're doing this, that, and the other thing, and I can't do this, that, and the other thing, and I'm sick of not being able to do this, that, and the other thing. But think about where you want to be in the 5 years. And I didn't really make the connection. Hey, Janet, thank you for joining us. I didn't make the connection then, but what this person was basically explaining to me was, the importance of having a why and setting smart goals, having a concrete idea of what it is that you want and where you want to be, and adding a time frame. So in that particular instance, the goal was having an architectural degree. The long-term goal was, being an architect, but at that moment, specifically, it was for, having the architectural degree. The timeline for it was 5 years at the end of the program. And was it manageable? Yeah. Was it relevant? It was something that I wanted, something I could do. I had applied and gotten into the school for it. I had the background and the prerequisites to enter the program. And so what did I say? Specific, measurable, relatable. Yeah, because I wanted it. Attainable. It was, because the person I was actually speaking to was someone who had also gone through the program. So I knew it was something that could be done. It wasn't impossible. And, people were doing, people graduate from college all the time. So I knew it wasn't so like an imaginary thing that I decided I wanted to. It was really real. So, smart goal, planned out. It really was a smart goal. I just didn't realize it at the time. But the point that's relevant for tonight's topic of discussion was what he said of, where do you want to be at the end of the 5 years? That's what's important. And it's going to be your steps now that determined where you end up at the end of the 5 years. And I think a lot of times, and I catch myself doing this a lot, especially lately, we get so set and focused on where we are right now in this moment and what the people around us are doing right now at this moment. And sometimes it gets hard to look, sometimes not even 5 years ahead, but, 1 year ahead. And we kind of have to remind ourselves that the time's going to pass either way, whether we like it or not. And we can, at the end of the time, have taken the strides to get us closer to our goals, or we could have just let the time pass us by. Either we're in the driver's seat or the car is driving us. And I think we often let the car drive us, and we get into a mindset of contentment. And I mean, contentment not in terms of we're happy with where we are, but we have but we're still pursuing bettering ourselves, bettering our communities, and doing better for our families, or for a movement, whatever it is that we're passionate about. I mean contentment in terms of, I maybe contentment's not the right word, but I can't figure out another word. You guys might want to help me on this one. But it's where you're not happy with where you are. You're just, you know, what it is that you're dealing with, so you decide to stay there. And I think that I personally feel like I encounter that a lot. A lot of times I'll be talking to people and they'll say, yeah, I'm sick of where I am. I'm sick of my job. I'm sick of my living conditions. I'm, in a situation that's discontented. Okay, so maybe I was on the right track. Thanks, Janet. So, they're miserable with where they are, but they know the situation. It's like, there's a term or phrase where it's like the devil you know is better than the devil you don't, something like that. And they know what they're dealing with. They know the ins and out. They go into work, they check in, they check out, they clock in, they clock out, they punch in, they punch out. They're not really there mentally or emotionally. It's just a routine that they do. They get up every morning, barely reset the clock for bed. They're grumpy getting up for work, and they literally drag themselves to where they're going, sit down, not for any other reason than because they have to be there. Then they leave when they get to leave, and that's it. Sometimes I'll meet people, and I've mentioned this to you guys before. Sometimes I'll meet people, and they will know to the day and the hour how much time they have before they retire. And I'm like, I get it, but I don't want to live like that. It's just, watching it and, seeing how they are, like, I'm just like, why? I understand why. We've got bills, we've got mortgages, we've got responsibilities. But at the same time, it's like, is this the essence of my life? Is this how I'm going to spend my days? Like, at the end of the 5 years, when I look back, do I want to look back and say, yeah, I got up every morning, I went to work, I did that? Or do I want to say, I had a positive impact on other people's lives. I helped other people. I was happy. I enjoyed my time. And I feel like you can do that. You can enjoy yourself without shirking your responsibilities. I'm not saying, everyone should quit their job. I'm not saying that, going to work at a 9 to 5 is a bad thing. If you enjoy that, then that is fine. I'm talking about the people who don't enjoy it. Miss Janet, for example, she just said that she wants to be retired from her hospital job and snowbirding in her second home in Hawaii in 5 years. I love that. So Miss Janet, she has her plan of where she wants to be in her 5 years. So now it's a matter of her taking the steps along the way to get there. But I think, in talking to people again, I realized that there's a disconnect. Yes, goals. There's a disconnect between where we want to be and what we're willing to do to get there. And this is where like the rubber meets the road. We have the conversations, we do the planning, we do the action steps, we talk about it, but there's no movement towards it. And then I start to wonder why. What is it that is holding you? What is it that is keeping you from moving forward? Is it fear, or is it comfort, or is it what I want to talk to you guys, or what I'm talking to you guys about, that comfort, that unwillingness to let go of what we know and step out of our comfort zone into a different realm. And that whole concept of stepping out of our comfort zone, stepping outside of the norm, becoming or doing something different, yeah, it can be scary. Trust me, I know. But it can also be a huge growth opportunity. And I I mean, if you look at whether you're looking at plants or children, we know that you can't have growth without change. And I've talked about this before. If you're 31 years old and still this, I don't know, what size are babies? Like a burrito? I don't know. Babies? Okay, like this big. And you're this big, something is wrong. You're not supposed to be 35 years old and this big. You have to grow. You have to move out of that frame and become adult. um Same thing in our lives. We have to go through those growth periods, and it's tempting to want to stay where we are, and it feels easier to stay within that comfort zone. And I think that's why a lot of us get stuck there, because we know it, we're used to it, and it's comfortable, it's easy. I We always have this conversation about being an entrepreneur and what it takes to be an entrepreneur. And what triggered this thought process within me was I was actually reading an article where it described, it was kind of giving bosses and managers and human resources tips and tricks and ideas for what to look for in potential hires, potential recruits, um, potential leaders in different positions within a corporate structure. And one of the things on that list was that entrepreneurial spirit. But not just in the way of, I like to go out and lead, I like to go out and to do different things, but in a way of accepting the failures that come along with the entrepreneurial spirit. And it kind of just hit me because I was just like, huh, the reason why they're looking for that is because it takes a huge person to be able to go through the failures and accept the defeat and still come out on the other side having learned from it and not have been defeated by it, and still having the intent to move forward. Because there are a lot of people, you meet them, go out in the street and talk. Everybody is an entrepreneur. But are you really an entrepreneur if you're not really growing, if you're not stepping out of your comfort zone? If you sit at home all day and watch Martha Stewart or Jerry Springer or, Netflix and chill 24/7, how entrepreneurial are you? Like, really? But that is a comfort zone that it becomes easy to fall into. And just reading that article and realizing that this is something that they would be encouraging higher bosses and managers and people who are hiring to think about, really resonated with me because I got excited about that. I said, a lot of times I'll talk to people and they'll say things like, "Oh, commission? No. I want to go to 9 to 5. I want to punch in. I want to be in control of my my hours. I don't want the uncertainty of earning on commission. And I always have the conversation of, okay, well, if you're working for someone else and someone else is setting your hours and someone else is determining what times you work, whether it's a 9 to 5 or whatever, are you really still as in control as you think? What happens when your company goes belly up? Do you decide to keep your job? No, you don't. If your company decides to let you go, to fire you, how in control are you with that? Do you get to say, no, 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 I don't want to be fired. You're gonna have to just keep me because I like it here. You can't. It's someone else's decision. So again, how in control are you? Right? So I have those conversations with people where they're looking at the levels of control that they think they have, or they're looking down on people who are entrepreneurs who are taking that step out of the norm, and doing the scary things of going to work a 9 to 5 and then coming home and working another 3 to 5 to 7 maybe hours afterwards, working on the weekends. And they're looking at that and saying, no, 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 no. That's crazy. That doesn't make sense. 9 to 5 is the way to go. But the entrepreneur is looking at it and saying, well, I'm building something here. I'm working on my 5 or 10 year plan. I know where I am now, but I don't want to get comfortable here. I want to prepare something else for the future. Or they it may not be something outside of their 9 to 5. It could be even within their 9 to 5. It could be, what, this is my job, but I want to move up within this corporate structure. Or maybe I like this position, but I want to do this to the best ability, to my best ability. So they're constantly growing and improving themselves. So there are different levels of growth within where they are, and moving out of their comfort zone to be better, to become better, to become more, or to set their plan up for their 5 year plan. But there's that element of growth and change, and it doesn't always look cut and dry, moving forward at 90 miles an hour. Sometimes there's setbacks, but unless you can bounce back from those setbacks, you just don't have the growth. And reading the article kind of had me not question, but really start to think about and examine, what it means to be an entrepreneur. Because really and truly, when you're going that entrepreneurial path, you're gonna have setbacks. Why? Because you might have to teach yourself new things. Have you ever tried, riding a bike? How many times did you fall? Walking. I mean, you watch children who are learning to walk, the amount of times that they fall down, learning, or I should say falling, is a part of the process of growth. Am I wrong? But if you get into this mindset of not wanting to um, put yourself in those situations where you can fall or can mess up, then it's kind of stunts your opportunity for growth. So I sort of that was sort of my thought process this past week. I've kind of been, chewing it over. Sometimes I just run into things and it just kind of resonates in my brain. But Janet says she can do Avon, her business, any place in the world. So for her, that business gives her the flexibility. So, that's one of the things that is important to her, and that's why she's working it regardless of whatever setbacks she might have. So that was sort of something I wanted to just kind of put out there as food for thought for you guys, to think about what it is that you are willing to sacrifice, I guess, because at the end of the day, it's going to come down to that sacrifice. What are you willing to sacrifice for your goals, if anything at all? And to even ask yourself, are you really willing to make sacrifices to reach your goals? Because you might, in thinking about it, and really consider it. Don't just listen to me and have it go in at one ear and out the other, because this is something that has a huge impact. So look at your life and, you kind of think to yourself, okay, where do I want to be in 4 years? Like, in my mind, what do I want my life to look like? And this is why we do dream boards, and this is why we do brainstorming, and this is why I talk to you guys about your belief window, because this is where it begins. Just, okay, in the next year or 5 years, where do I want to be? And thinking about what that looks like. Then kind of taking a step back and saying, okay, what are the things that I need to do to get there? Do I need to work overtime? Do I need to work extra hours? Do I need to get out of my comfort zone and talk to strangers? Do I need to make a financial investment, either in a business or in education or in product or in materials and tools? And it's going to vary depending on whatever it is that you want. For me, for example, with my studies, I have to invest in classes and books and training courses, and I also have to invest the time in actually studying. And sometimes I'm like, I just want to Netflix and chill. But then I have to think about, okay, at the end of the day, the 5 years is going to pass. Do I want to still have this studying in 5 years, which is kind of where I am right now, because I wasn't willing to sacrifice or give up certain things. And here I am. The 5 years have passed, and I'm like, okay, what do I do? So, once you have determined what it is that you want, take a step back and look at what it is that you have to do. And then ask yourself the huge question: am I really willing to do those things? And be honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself. I think we lie to ourselves, we lie to other people, we lie to our mentors and our coaches and our friends and our family, because we're saying what we think other people want to hear. But at the end of the day, at the end of the 5 years, when you look back, it was like, you kind of have to say to yourself, okay, I know I said this, but did I really? Did I mean it? Was it really true? And other people are going to be looking like, you said this. Did you mean it? Was it really true? So, do you want that? What's the trade-off going to be? Is it more important to you to spend your cash on clothing and food? Those are my two big areas. Or do you want to invest that cash into maybe productivity tools or education, educational material, classes, workshops, books, and trainings, or invest it into travel? I'm not saying it's either A or B. There's a variety. So I could look at the money that I'm spending on food and clothing, and there's like one satellite where, okay, I can maybe invest that into travel. There's another satellite where I could say, I can also invest that into savings, for my future. There's another satellite where I could say, I'm going to invest that into my business, or I'm going to invest it into education, or I'm going to invest it in someone else, uh, um, an opportunity, an organization, or even a person. So every single little decision that we make, whether it's the dollar for, no, I'm lying to myself, the $3 to $5 for coffee every day, or at the end of a week, the $15 towards a new training book. And we also have to look at our actions, our where we're spending our time. So if we have our 5 year goal, and we look at the action steps leading up to that right now, what are the things that we should be doing? Should we be investing our time in Netflix and chill? Or should we be investing our time into training and development, into productivity activities, business building, uh, maybe extra hours at our job to maybe shadow someone else who's further along than us so that we can learn from that person, or investing in, again, another person, because a lot of the things that I'm telling you, even the story that I started with today, it was a person who mentored me. They invested the time in taking the time to invested the time. They invested their time by taking the time to talk to me about my future. That was an investment for them. They had to weigh, how am I going to spend my time? I just, I kind of wanted to just talk to you guys about this, because I realize, the time is fleeting. But it's what I want you guys to kind of focus on is, like, it's gonna pass regardless. Time, that is the one thing that it doesn't stop, it doesn't move. You can't pause it, you can't save it. It's gonna go. So what you can do with it is, or what you have to do with it is, really be conscious of how you're spending it. We go so often with letting the time pass us by without really giving it meaning. And I find nowadays it's even worse because we have so many distractions. It's easy to just kill 3 to 4 hours on social media scrolling through photos. Um, and not, and I'm not knocking social media, because yes, social media could be a business building tool. It can be a tool to connect and interact with your friends and family and build and develop relationships. But I'm talking about, just the mindless swipe left kind of, mindless scrolling. So we just really have to be conscious and intentional of how we spend our time and what activities we're spending our time on. And that is why I always talk about how important it is for me to journal, because if I could kind of start at the beginning of the week and look at the things that I have to do, and I don't get it all done, and I'm still working on it. I'm a work in progress here, but if I kind of plan out my week, it helps me capture the things that I need to get done and capture my time a little bit better. Otherwise, I'll forget, because in the moment when people are like, "Oh, hey, do you want to watch this 35-minute YouTube video?" Or, "Hey, we just found a new video of cats jumping from snakes. Do you want to watch 35 minutes of that?" I'm like, "Yeah, cats are fun. Let's watch." And if I don't have something else on my schedule, then I'll just say, "Yeah, let's watch," and waste my half an hour, knowing full well that it could be coaching my team. I could be doing personal development. I could be reaching out to customers. I can be building orders, making sample packs, doing something, studying, doing something that will further my potential. And we just have to capture those moments that are time wasters, and also be conscious of the activities that we're spending our time on, and whether or not those activities are things that actually get us closer to our goals. I kind of miss. I actually had, like, maybe this is weighing so heavy with me, because I met up with some friends that I used to go to high school with this weekend, and it was really nice to meet up with them and see how far they've come and what they're doing with their lives and spend that time with them. But it also kind of got me remembering my school days, where the schedule was kind of set for me. My schedule was packed with the things that I needed to do to accomplish the goal of graduation. It was picked and chosen for me. I just had to do it. And now as an adult, it's like, I get to choose my own things that I have to do. And a lot of times I just want to watch TV, or, mindlessly scroll through social media. But those blocks that were carved out with, like, serious action steps aren't there as much anymore. So that's kind of what got me thinking. So Miss Janet said, it's easy to get stuck in a rut in a 9 to 5 job that you don't really like. She thinks it's fear that hinders people from stepping out. There's something to be said for security with a regular check in benefits. That's why she's working on her retirement plan, so she can feel more comfortable with the transition. And doing Avon now and getting her an established and great foundation, so that she can move forward when she retires. Yeah, my journaling has become my daily action plan. And I have my, it is more of an action plan than, this is how my day went kind of journal. But yeah, I plan out, I kind of bullet point, brainstorm all the things I need to do for the week. And then each day I kind of do my action plan. Sometimes things get done, sometimes they don't. But I'm also learning about me and my tendencies to put more on my plate than I actually have time for. But yeah, Janet, it's interesting, because on the one hand, yeah, it is fear. But on the other hand, it is just, like you said, to just get in the mindset of, this is comfortable and this is secure, but you know, not really considering whether or not it really is or really is not. Um, and I talk to you guys all the time about people I know who have been in a job for 30 or 20 years, and either the company goes belly up or they decide to let them go, and all of a sudden that security is pulled out from underneath them. And unlike Janet, they didn't take the time to make a retirement plan or a backup plan. They didn't have anything in the side in the works to make sure that if this blanket is pulled out, they're still left standing on solid ground. And that's one of the reasons why I try to build my business as well and put aside for the future. But I don't. Sometimes I'll just come out of the blue and ask people, do you have a plan B? Oh, it's great that you do that. That's wonderful. What's your plan B? And they'll look at me like I have 10 heads. Or, they'll say, they're working through stuff, and I'm like, that is awesome that you're getting over that hump. What's your backup plan? Again, 10 heads. So yeah, you really have to overcome the fear of stepping out, but also just be conscious of what it is that you're doing and where you're spending your time and what you're working on and whether or not those things are getting you closer to your goals. Otherwise, you're just talking about it. You're just saying, yeah, I want to do this, I want to do that, but you're not taking the steps to get there. And I'm I'm one of the people. I have things that I want to do, and maybe I often get, not even maybe, I definitely often get frustrated because I feel like I'm not moving as fast as I would like. But if I'm honest with myself and I really take the time to look at what I've accomplished, I'm further along now than I was back then. And I look at, what if I had, there are different key points in my life where I made a decision to be somewhere or to do something or participate in something or reach out to someone. And those moments are moments where, yeah, I chose to be here, but I could also been on my couch. I chose to go to that event. I could also have, decided to go to the movies that day. And I'm not knocking those leisure activities. You need them also in moderation. But when those things start to dominate and take control, and when those things are leading over the action steps, then we have a problem. So, yes, thanks, Janet. Backup plan. So now I kind of want to get to the quote that I had. That kind of, I found it today actually, and I almost didn't do this, topic of discussion of, looking at the trade off that you have, because time is so precious. Whatever you do is a trade-off. Every step that you take in whatever direction is a step that you take away from something else. If you get up in the morning and you decide to step out of your house, the alternate could have been that you decided to stay in your house. If you decide to go to work that day, the alternate could have been, maybe you decide to go to the movies or hang out with friends, or again, go back to your house. So every action we take is so important, and we have to stop letting the time just drive us. We have to stop being pulled along, kind of mindlessly, like, yeah, it is what it is, this is how it's always been, it's not going to change. And take that initiative to really be conscious about what we're doing and the results of our actions. Otherwise, whether we like it or not, the 4 or 5 years are going to pass, and either we will be in the same place or be further behind. But unless we're doing, what we got to do, you're not going to be moving forward. And even if at the end of the 5 years you haven't hit that exact thing, you at least want to be further along. We always say reach for the moon, fall among the stars. You don't want to find yourself either sitting in the same place or moving in reverse. You want to be moving forward, and that's not going to come unless you have the action steps. So that brings me to this quote that I found from Virginia Volks, and I'm going to read it twice because it's a good one. It said, "We learn only what we do, and what we do, we become. Live, therefore, in the ways you desire to have as part of your personality. Practice being the person you wish to become." And I came across that and I was like, what? That is so good. So let me read it one more time. We learn only what we do. So basically, unless you're doing it, you're not going to learn it. And I like that part. And I think that was the line that kind of caught my eye and got me to read along. But we talk about, especially in our business, I'm constantly talking about action steps. And sometimes people are like, what are action steps? And if you go through my videos, you'll see where I explain. But basically, the action steps are the tasks, the things you do. So if your goal is to, for example, find new customers, that's a goal. Your action steps are to, prepare your brochures and actually get them in the hands of people, to go out and meet people, to network, to get involved in your community, to do the power of three or the power of five. It's the action of finding customers, where the rubber meets the road. So what she's saying here is, we learn only what we do. And I read that sentence a couple of times because I'm like, okay, two sides of the coin here. If we are people who are doing those steps, maybe we're not, maybe we're just getting started, we're just kind of testing it out. Not, I don't even want to say testing out. Maybe we're just, putting our toes in the water and beginning along our journey. But we're doing those steps. We're talking to people, we're getting conversations going, we're sharing our business, we're being excited about what we're doing, we're promoting ourselves, we're doing the classes, we're doing the trainings, we're learning and educating ourselves. According to this, we will learn those things that we're doing. Great. But on the other side of the coin, what if you're not doing anything? You learn what you do. So you're just learning to become an even lazier person. You're just learning to how to be better at staying put where you are. You're becoming better at not accomplishing, you know? So I thought about that and I was like, better, you can be better at doing, like, you can be great at doing nothing. Do I want to be a person who's great at doing nothing? No. So then the next part is, and we do what we become. Again, another sentence where I was just like, you do what you become. It kind of sounds like it should go in reverse. You become what you do. And that would kind of go with her first sentence. We learn what we do. But she said, and what we do, we become. So if you're, think of the what we say, fake it till you make it. How do you do that? You By faking it, you're just doing the things, until you get to the point. So if you want to be a successful person, you're doing the things that successful people do. You look at the people who are a success and you do those things. Again, you may be just brand new, you maybe don't have it 100% figured out, but you're doing the steps. And as you do them, you're going to improve on them and get better at them until you find yourself, good at it. When I started, I share with you guys all the time, I was a super shy person. It took me a long time just to be able to have a conversation with a stranger. And by have a conversation, I mean like even, hi, you have really nice earrings. Took a lot out of me to just get to that point. And now sometimes I'll go out with my team or I'll go out with my friends. The other day I was out in Walmart sharing my sample packs with people, and my family was like, she's like a different person. Since when do you talk to strangers? And I didn't always, but I had a goal of building my business, and I knew that with my current circle of friends, it wasn't enough to support the business the way I wanted it to. So I needed to go out and meet other people. And by talking to strangers, that was one method of doing that. Was I still scared when I started? Yes. Did I stutter and stumble on my words and trip on my words and, sometimes not end up getting the conversation to the point where I could share my business or make a real solid connection? Yes. But eventually I got to the point through practice of, where I could do that. But it came from the doing. And by doing, I became a person who was better at it than the person I was. Am I an expert or pro? Am I the best of the best? No. But by doing it, I've gotten better. And I'm better enough now to be able to go out and coach my team and mentor other people to do the same. But even in coaching them, I'm improving my skills and looking at what I'm doing and analyzing so I can teach someone else. And again, it's helped me to become better. So it's cyclical. The more you do, the better you become. The better you become, the better you can do what you're doing. So then she continues, live therefore in the ways you desire to have as part of your personality. So again, you look at that sentence and you look at what you're doing. Am I are the actions that I take daily helping me to become the person I want to be? Do they or do they not line up? So if, this is my goal, am I on track to becoming that? Or are my action steps way off yonder over here? So if I want to be a doctor, surgeon, nurse, physicist, whatever, is hanging out, not reading the books, not going to class, not doing the studies, not educating myself, not practicing, going to help me be better at that? No, those actions aren't lining up with my goal. So for us as business people, what are our goals? Where do we want our business to be? What do we want to accomplish? Are our action steps lining up with those things? And these are the questions, they're the tough questions. And sometimes I get on my own nerves asking myself these things. But in order to have progress, you have to ask them and really analyze so that you can say, you know what? And again, that's where journaling comes in handy. But that's where you say to yourself, you know what? I look at my week and I look at what I've done, between last week Tuesday and this week Tuesday. Did I do things that helped my business grow? Did I talk to new people? Did I get out brochures? Did I reach out to my contacts or my customers? Did I do training with my team? Did I reach out to my teammates? Did I reach out to people who were interested in the opportunity? Did I follow up? Um, did I go to the classes and the trainings and the workshops that Avon was providing? Did I read the emails? Did I attend Avon University? How much of Avon University have I done so far? How much of the Avon training have I gotten plugged into? But I say I want to be successful at this business. Are my action steps lining up with my goals, with the person that I want to be? Tough questions, yes, but be honest with yourself and you'll see whether you are or aren't, and then you'll be able to fix it. But if you're living in a world of denial where it's like, yeah, well, I don't need to do all of that, I could just be magically amazing on my own, then guess what? You learn what you do. So if you're doing nothing, you're not learning nothing. Guess what? What you do is what you become. So if you're not doing nothing, this is that moment where you guys are gonna turn me off, but this is the hard stuff. If you are what you become and you're doing nothing, you're gonna become nothing. And thinking that, I was like, I don't want to be nothing. Do you? You know, of course not. We all want to be something. We all want to be, and we are, I'm not saying that anybody is nothing. We all have value and we're all amazing. But if you're just like not doing anything with your life, if you're not contributing to society or other people or, anything, then really, what are we? You know? So the next thing that she says is her advice. So here's where she gives you the action step for what you do. And I love when people give action steps. I hate when I go through reading a whole course and they're, all whimsical and, dreamy and wishy-washy, brainstormy. I hate attending a class or a workshop and leaving there like, what do I do? What do I do now? How do I apply that? So she gives you the action step. She says, practice being the person you wish to become. Complicated? No, actually quite simple. Again, if this is my goal, this is the thing that I want to be. I want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse, a top seller, an architect, a pilot, a mom, whatever. Okay, let's backtrack from that because we all know what we need to do to get there. I don't want to go down that road. But being a great mom, yes, being a good mom, we know what we need to do to be that. So we need to take what we need to do and what we're actually doing and bring them together so that they line up together. So what do we got in the chat box? Janet says, that's great. She agrees with that statement. We also learn by our mistakes. So don't be afraid to do because you're afraid of failure. Yes, Janet, thank you. Okay, I can go to bed a happy person. You get it. If you are my one person who gets this, I can die happy. But yes, so Janet says she does that so that when people she does it so well that people actually think she's a leader and has a large team. That is because you're doing the action steps of a person with a large team, because you want to be a person with a large team. And when the day comes that you have a large team because you were doing the steps to get there, you'll know how to function. And I try to operate that way too. Sometimes people look at what I'm doing and it's like, that is also complicated. You only have one person or one thing. Why are you going through all the trouble of having a spreadsheet? Why are you going through all the trouble of keeping records? Even when my business was small, what are my neighbors doing? Even when my business was small, I tried to keep records and run my business like a business because I want my business to be a big business. I want my business to run like a business and pay me like a business. In the beginning, it was paying me like a hobby. I'm not going to lie to you. It was, because I was treating it like a hobby. I was still learning the things that I needed to do to run my business like a business, But then it got to that point where it was like, oh wait, shoot, I've got a lot of people here to work with, but I have virtual trainings in place. So now that I'm starting to get teammates in other states, they're just getting plugged into our virtual trainings. I made that transition even when my team was local, when we could have met at a diner all the time. I said, you know what, let's do this virtually, because eventually when I get that one person who's across the country, and that's exactly what happened. I had, I think my first recruit from out of town was in California. Talk about a gap. Shout out to Miss Brenda, by the way. But Miss Brenda was able to come in and get plugged in because I had phone training and virtual training in place because I was, that was my goal, to be that person. I looked at other leaders and what they were doing, and I tried to implement that in my own business because I wanted to be like them. So that's another thing that's great to be able to, and that's where social media does come in handy, because you can look at a person, be very careful, because it's very easy to get into a mindset of low self esteem or lower self worth. And studies have shown this. This is one of the problems with social media, but it's easy to look at someone, and we talked about it last week, look at what they have and where they are. And instead of saying, okay, I'm going to do the things to get there, we just start to make excuses. So be careful of that. But, it can be valuable when you can look at that person and say, okay, that person is the person that I want to be. I want to be like them. I want to have what they have. I want to work it like they do. They are my inspiration. What are they doing? So if they are, Usain Bolt, track star, I want to be a track star like Usain Bolt. What do I do? He gets up early. He gets up early to exercise. He takes care of his body. He eats right. I am so far away from being Usain Bolt right now. Like today, nowhere near. Don't eat right. Not really exercising the way I should be. He is serious about what he's doing because that's his livelihood, that's his passion. So if I want to be like him, I have to line up my action steps the same way. I have to make it my livelihood and my passion to do those things as well. And then I could at least, get closer. I will never, no one will ever be Usain Bolt, but he's unbeatable. Just, shout out, big up Jamaica. Uh, just, he's in his own class, but you can get close to him. You could kind of, sort of hit the numbers that he had a couple of years ago, but it comes from doing those things and taking the steps. So I hope that this gets through to somebody, because this was really like, this whole week I was really like, okay, yeah, what are your action steps? What are you doing? Are you really serious about this? What are the things that you're saying you want to do and that you're serious about that that your action steps just aren't lining up with? And I caught myself red-handed on a lot of things. Told you guys I wanted to diet and eat right and eat healthy. I've been backsliding on my exercise. The ice cream cookies are a bane to my existence. But I got to get back on the wagon if I want to hit those weight loss goals. Whatever it is that you want to do, the examples are out there for you. And now with, the internet, there's a multitude of information out there. But even if, you find yourself not being computer savvy or whatever, you can still go out to the library. When I first got started, behind these curtains and on this wall are books, leadership development, training, Darren Hardy. I don't know. Sometimes I rattle off the names to you guys. All kinds of books. Why? So that I could learn from the leaders, the best of the best, the people who have experience with success and mentoring or leading. Whatever. Find the people who are leaders and read their stuff. If you don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on Amazon or Barnes and Nobles or whatever. You can go to your local library and check it out for free. For a long time before I had library money, I would go to the library, and every week I was, checking out a different leadership, management, public speaking, um, how to be a good mentor or be a good boss, or whatever kind of books that I could find. And then I started to get lazy and said, it's easier if I just order online and have it shipped to my house and, read it that way. But, if you have goals to do, or become better, are you educating yourself? Are you doing the personal development? Are you training yourself? How many books are you reading a day? How many articles are you reading? Or are you just sitting on Pinterest and flipping through random pictures? Again, that trade-off of time. And be honest with yourself. Are you willing to give up your Pinterest time to read an educational book? To do that personal development. A lot of people are going to find, no, it's not. And guess what? You are what you become. So I'm gonna leave it at that before you guys chop off my head, because this is one of those moments, one of these tough talk moments, and I appreciate you guys hanging there with me. Shout out to Janet, who she's a trooper. She's like, Right, we got this. Um, this is a tough talk moment, and I hope that this inspires or helps someone else out there. Or even if you could say to yourself, you know what, that was what I was missing. Maybe I've just been lying to myself. Be honest with that and, own up to it, because it's like the AA meetings. You accept it so that you can work on it. I'm not talking from experience here. This is all me going off of television. But you have to know what you're dealing with to be able to work on it. If you think I don't have a problem, I'm perfect, I don't need to change anything. If you find yourself not going anywhere, then guess what? Something has to change. And I'm not going to lie to you, it's not going to be the people, your circumstances, your situation, the things around you. It's going to start with you. It's going to start with the man in the mirror. As Michael Jackson says, there was really truth in his words. If you want to enact change, it's got to begin with you. We have to stop with this, with the blame game, because again, that's a trade-off. We're either spending time pointing and blaming and accusing other people, or we're using that time to reinvest in ourselves to say, okay, you know what? This is within my control. That is without my control. I can work on this and, just get better within this. I can't change that, but I could better this. This is what I'm going to focus my time and energy on. A lot of people are not willing to give up to this. Why? Because it's easier. It's easier to say, well, it's her fault, it's his fault, it's the kid's fault, it's the husband's fault, it's the job's fault, it's the company's fault, it's the economy's fault, it's the social media's fault. But it takes a lot. I, I'm telling you, tough talk here. It takes a lot to say, oh, shoot, this is me. I did that. I'm responsible for that. I got myself in this situation. Now I need to get myself out. It's not easy to do that, and a lot of times it hurts. And I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes I'm just crying in frustration with myself. It's not, because I realize it's not what other people are doing. It's me and my decisions. So and again, we talked about it last week. No, 2 weeks ago, where you hit that moment where enough is enough, and you're just like, this is where I've been. This is what I've been doing. Enough with that. It's time for me to step out of that and move into being, or getting aligning myself, moving to aligning myself with the person that I want to be. It's going to start on the inside, and it's going to start with the tough talk moments, and it's going to be painful to go through, like exercise and eating right. So all right, guys, so that is my talk for the night. Oh, thank you, Janet, you are so awesome. um I appreciate that, and I love watching you and your daughter too. To be honest, you guys inspire me, because I'm like, okay, these ladies are out there doing this. I got to do this too. So Miss Janet said, it's time to reinvest in me. I love that. Yeah. Time to reinvest in yourself, time to reevaluate yourself and see if the things that you're doing align with who you want to be. And it's time to take those steps. I know we've been talking about it all year, but sometimes, I mean, I do the talk and I'm still finding myself like, okay, no, I need to do this. So that's it for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and we will be here next week. We have changed. We used to have the third week off, but things have changed, and I've got to change too. So we will be here next week, Tuesday, same time, same place. So thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate you chatting with me, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. Have a great night. Bye.